Live. It's Saturday morning. Do a Saturday morning live show for a change. Let's just jump on the YouTube channel. And yeah, we are live. Anyway, good morning. How is all this morning? Make sure you've got a coffee this morning. Just to get us going, right? There's a couple of news stories I want to talk about. If you are online, there's 5 people online. I'm not expecting very many people online because it's unusual for me to do a Celtic live at this time of the morning. But I'll run a bit later today due to the fact that my mother's here and spent some time with my mother this morning before I thought I'd jump on the live. Anyway, Celtic news this morning. It's all about controlling the narrative. We all knew that they would try as much as possible to control the narrative in the media. Morning, Liam. How are you this morning? I did say that they would do their utmost to try and control the narrative of the media at the media conference yesterday, talking about the Rangers. And when you see some of the headlines that are out there this morning, it's absolutely ridiculous. I mean, one of them is Celtic. Celtic believe that they didn't want to change, and it's all this narrative that Celtic changed the away fans at Celtic Park. And let's remember, it wasn't Celtic that changed anything when it comes to away fans. It was the Rangers. And the Masonicness and the Huns in the media, let's just call them what they are. The Huns in the media are always going to go with the narrative of trying to say that it's Celtic's fault that there's no fans. Celtic's fault that there's no fans at derby games. And that's the headlines that they're running with this morning. Let's jump onto the comments. Billy Boy, morning Baz for Coventry. Is the Coventry bus still on the go? Remember they used to run with the 313 bus from Liverpool, the Coventry bus. Tell me in the comments, Billy Boy, is that still on the go, the Coventry bus? Or and whatever happened to the 313 bus from Liverpool? Did that just stop altogether? Anyway, Michael Ross is in the house. Hail for Celts and Michael Boy, morning Barry. Hail, morning to you. It's 36 watching. Make sure you give the video a thumbs up. Also, right, Chris Sutton's been talking about it. I mean, I'm going to go through the media so you don't have to. Away fans will return back inside Ibrox and Celtic Park next season on Derby Day. Chris Sutton says that the champions Rangers and Celtic common sense. Chris Sutton championed Rangers and Celtic common sense over away allocation. It was nothing to do with Rangers and Celtic. This is the narrative that it's all down to Celtic and Rangers. It's about all the other teams in Scottish football as well. A lot of the other teams in Scottish football do not give Celtic 5% on away allocation. Look at Aberdeen, for instance. Aberdeen have reduced the allocation to a ridiculous amount. Hearts reduced the allocation to under 700. So this narrative that is it's all about the media manipulating the narrative to say that look, it's big bad Celtic's fault for changing the away allocation. They stopped Rangers fans coming to Celtic. But no, they refused. You have to remember, Celtic refused to take tickets for Ibrox due to safety concerns. The media is awfully good at forgetting about all the missiles that were thrown into the away section at Ibrox. Fans getting their heads split open. With coins, bottles, and everything else that was getting chucked in. And, it's just a nasty ground to go to. And the fact that then Hearts then followed suit and reduced an allocation, Kilmarnock reduced his allocation. You've got all these teams that decided to reduce their allocation for Celtic and the Sevco, but this narrative that is all Celtic's fault. I knew this would happen. Absolutely knew this would happen. Let's jump back out to some of the comments. Tell your mother she deserves a medal. Yeah, she does that. She's enjoying this weather. She's like, it's absolutely roasting here. Whilst I sit with my hoodie on. Lindsay Greenwood, morning Baz. Hail, morning all. And Jim Dolan is in the house also. Overcast in Coatbridge Road tomorrow. Free Palestinians says hail trips. Rangers fans are the same ideology since 1690. I don't think Rangers, even the old Rangers, was about in 1690, but the mentality of the people that support that club, yes. Right, let's get back to what Chris Sutton says. Chris Sutton says common sense has finally broken out over, and I don't believe that Chris Sutton would have said Old Firm in his article, right? So this is another way that the media would have changed the narrative. There's absolutely not a chance would Chris Sutton say Old Firm tickets. But according to this article in the Daily Record, he said Old Firm tickets. He says, I just hope it's the start of the road back to the return of full away allocations. Getting around 2,500 visiting sports to Ibrox and Celtic Park is a step in the right direction. It's long overdue. The decision to cut away tendencies was first put into place. No one tell me it diminished the fixture. The reduced amount of 700 was a waste of time, and there's no doubt it's been a nightmare for those fans penned in the tiny corners of the stadium. A total shutout was even worse. The Glasgow Derby. Steve, this is the part that Chris Sutton wrote. The Glasgow Derby is one of the world's biggest in world football. And to take it down to the atmosphere created to the grounds, the noise, the passion is what makes it. And it's something that's been lacking over the last couple of years. It took away from the spectacle for neutrals as well. Scottish football is trying to sell itself as a global product. I've been banging on about this for ages. I have been banging on about it, saying that this nonsense. I mean, when you're in when you're in the trenches as a fan, right, as I was for many years, and a lot of people who watch this channel are, and a lot of friends are. When you're in the trenches as a fan, you have your blinkers on, and you just focus on Celtic. You just want the best for Celtic. You want everything, and you fucking hate them with a vengeance. You hate them with a vengeance, and I still do. I'm lucky that I've been enough where you can be in the trenches and you can see everything that goes on deep inside when you go to games week in, week out, twice a week, and all your European games. And then when you take a step back, you kind of take a look at the bigger picture of Scottish football, and it's been embarrassing. It's been embarrassing watching what Rangers have done to Scottish football. Let's face it, Rangers did this to Scottish football. It's as simple as that. Let's not lie about it. Let's not fucking beat about the bush. Let's not try and paper over the cracks. Tell it what it is. The narrative of the Scottish media, is always to try and blame Celtic for something that they had no control over whatsoever. No control over whatsoever. Rangers reduced the allocation for one reason and one reason only. Celtic were winning far too many times at Ibrox, and they couldn't handle it. Could you imagine if Fergus McCann had decided to reduce the allocation when he came into the club because Rangers were on their way to 9 in a row? Could you imagine if we reduced the allocation then? Fucking nonsense. Absolute nonsense. Anyway, 10 wins and we have a double. Simple. Yes, it is that. Anyway, let's get back to what Chris Sutton was saying. He's also going on about the fact that if Scottish football is trying to sell itself as a global product to armchair fans have been shortchanged. I've been banging on about that for weeks, Chris. Where have you been? I'd love to get Chris Sutton on this show. But when it comes to ex-players, it all comes to that. When it comes to all the ex-players, they won't do anything for that. So, yeah, I'd love to get some of them onto this show, but they just all want cash. And unfortunately, this channel doesn't make a lot of cash. It doesn't have outside incomes that a lot of the other Celtic channels have. Anyway, Brendan Rodgers insists Celtic never wanted to cut the Rangers allocation. He wants more tickets for each club. Again, the same paper choosing the narrative that we didn't want to cut the Rangers allocation. We never cut the Rangers allocation. They cut it themselves. This is, again, another headline to make Celtic out to be the bad ones. And this is what I mean. The narrative that the Scottish football, the narrative that the Scottish media has, and what's a sad state of affair. I'm fucking going to go on a rant this morning. Don't even get me started with some of the blogs out in the blogosphere that have got the same editors on a Rangers site and a Celtic site. Don't even get me started with that lot. Fucking nonsense. Anyway, another headline. It's fucking, they're all at it this morning. Why I think Celtic will be relieved with Brendan Rodgers' bonus clear despite Parkhead misstep. According to this, Chris Sutton was sitting fucking writing all night and every day, everything yesterday. Celtic claimed they were disappointed that Brendan Rodgers has been hit with a one-game ban for speaking his mind, but we all know that they secretly be delighted with the result by the SFA discipline. Are they secretly delighted? If the board are secretly delighted with just getting a one-match ban, they should be embarrassed. The board should be embarrassed at being excited about that, because let's face it, a one-match ban, when you get in the top legal football guy in the United Kingdom and he still gets a one-match ban. Surely if he's the top lawyer that he says surely if he is the top lawyer that, as he says he is, he should have got Brendan Rodgers off of it. There should have been some kind of technicality. There should have been some legal avenue that they would have went down where they went, nah, that's not on. He got a 2-match ban, one suspended sentence. How could Celtic secretly be delighted with that? If that's the way that our club has went, the club's went downhill further than what we think behind the closed doors. Because I tell you one thing, Fergus McCann would never have accepted a 1-match ban for a manager. Not a chance. He would have went through them like he would have invested more money than he invested in Celtic to take that lot to court. Let's not lie about it. Anyway, let's get some fuck the MSM. We need Baz. Yep. Morning Baz and everyone. Happy Easter, fuck the Hunts. 110, it's a double. Parker Boy says Brendan Rodgers was always getting a ban because it's simple of the word incompetent. Yes. Let's face it. Celtic fans and fans all around Scottish football shout a lot worse at referees on an ongoing basis. But then you've got to fear for their safety. Fuck off. Anyway, let's go one more headline. This is an interesting one. It's a breaking story this morning about Paulo Bernardo. Celtic, according to Peter O'Rourke, have huge plans for Paulo Bernardo as a 20 million plus deal on the cards. Celtic plan to develop Paulo Bernardo and then sell him on for a big profit. This shit, Sherlock. Anybody could have came up with that headline. Paulo Bernardo, 22, joined Celtic on loan from Benfica in the summer, and the remainder of the season, Celtic have an option to buy, allegedly for £6 million. It's believed that Celtic want to make his move permanent this summer, as they believe they can develop him into a 20 million plus value player, meaning that they can net up to at least 14 million in profit. Well, that's not entirely true, because we've seen what happened with Benfica and the Jota deal. They tied in a massive sell-on fee. It's going on to say that well-placed sources say that Celtic chiefs believe the Portugal under-21 international has huge potential that can be fulfilled at Celtic Park. He's obviously recently broke into Brendan Rodgers' plans, and I'll tell you why this deal probably will go through. I still believe that Matt O'Reilly will be sold at some point. If it's not this summer, it'll definitely be. Celtic will do their damnedest to try and keep a hold of Matt O'Reilly this summer. Whether they can or not will all depend whether if we win the league. I'm going to say it now. If we win the league, we'll keep a hold of Matt O'Reilly. And I think we'll keep a hold of Matt O'Reilly because he knows he can go into the Champions League and he can get these games at that higher level. Matt O'Reilly does okay with Denmark this summer. It'll increase his value. He likes it at Celtic. He knows that he's still developing. He knows that O'Reilly's still a young player. He knows that himself. He knows he's got a lot of growth to happen yet. Celtic could hold on to him for another season. Make sure that Paulo Bernardo's brought in this summer. Paulo Bernardo, believe it or not, Celtic think that Paulo Bernardo is your replacement for Matt O'Reilly. And I'm sorry, Celtic fans, and a lot of Celtic fans out there say that Paulo Bernardo couldn't lace Matt O'Reilly's boots all day long. But the way that Celtic go, Paulo Bernardo is your replacement for Matt O'Reilly. So whether we like it or not, and it all comes down to the fact, can we keep a hold of Matt O'Reilly this summer? And nobody expected a £25 million offer to come in for Jota. Let's be fair, nobody expected that kind of money. If that kind of money comes in, Celtic will grasp at it. Can we keep a hold of it? I'd like to see Matt O'Reilly stay for one more season, get one more crack at the Champions League. But in the detail of what has been said by Brendan Rodgers, and there's a lifetime span of any player at a club like Celtic. There's a lifetime span where you need to maximise your income potential for a player. Brendan Rodgers a couple of weeks ago says, yeah, you've got to remember that Matt O'Reilly is still a young player. Season on season, he keeps on developing. I believe he's been here for 3 seasons now. That is the little bit of detail which can tell you the way that Celtic are thinking about moving. The fact that Brendan Rodgers come out, I think, and says he's been here for 3 seasons now, is that he's in that time scale. He's in that time scale for selling for maximum profit, and that could happen either this summer. I want to keep him. I'd like to keep him because I think that if he can get a good run in the Champions League with a good Celtic side, and a good Celtic side that is all together and manages not to get sent off, O'Reilly will be off Barry, and we'll jump at the fee we get. I think so, but it's going to take 25 million. In 1994, outside Celtic Park, protesters held aloft signs, "Shoot the board." Right. They held worse than that. They held worse than that. I can remember those years. I went to Ibiza for the summer, the following summer. Anyway, it was not VAR's fault. It was Beaton, the cheater, was at fault. The truth is not like that. Hampden. It's not that. Lindsay Greenwood says Matt is a good player, but his games have been poor of late. Sorry, I think it's time for him to go. If his game like this next season, what will his value be? Jota was different class to Bernardo. Yeah, he was that. But when you look at Matt O'Reilly, the whole team's been playing bad in December. I think picking out Matt O'Reilly for having his form taken a dip. When you look at Callum McGregor, people said that Callum McGregor's form had taken a dip. I have said before, Callum McGregor plays really well when Callum McGregor plays with really good players. Having a midfield of players that have been pretty mediocre all season and players that have came in off the bench been mediocre, Callum McGregor's then got to try and lift them up. Callum McGregor's not used to that as a Celtic captain. He's not used to that as a Celtic player. He's not used to being the one in the middle of the park that's having to lift everyone up to his standard. Matt O'Reilly was at a standard. You can't have the same form all season. If you have the same form all season, Matt O'Reilly's going to be a 25 to 30 million pound player. If he's down in England, he's a 60 to 70 million pound player. Matt O'Reilly, if he had the form that he's had this season down south, he's a 60 to 70 million pound player. There's bang average players going down south for a lot less. But it is what it is. Baz, you seen a YouTube video regarding the 94 takeoff? Takes me back. I have the memories, Stevie boy. I have the memories. But no, it'd be good to watch again. Anyway, the Paulo Bernardo story says the central and attacking midfield player who made just 2 league starts before Christmas, but since then has been in Rodgers' team and he's had a few goals and a few assists. Also, he's also featured in Celtic's Champions League group stages, and he scored the 4th round of the Scottish Cup against Bucky Thistle in January. Paulo has been a regular for Portugal under 21, and he captained his nation to a 5-1 victory. He's the under 21 captain. Everything has the writing on the wall for Celtic to make an offer for Paulo Bernardo this summer. The under 21s in Portugal beat Croatia 5-1 in a Euro qualifier just Tuesday past. Rodgers revealed in January that the club is confident they can get a move at full time for Bernardo. Anyway, tomorrow we face Livingston. Tomorrow afternoon we faced Livingston. It's going to be an interesting game. Thank goodness football's back. Thank goodness football's back, because let's face it, international football is just wash. Although I think the Euros might be a bit different. I was actually thinking about heading up to the Euros, flying up and just seeing, because I've never went to a Euros or that before. I went to a World Cup or a Euros, and I thought, if it's in Germany, why not just pop up and see it and support Spain just for the banter. Yeah. Anyway, let's jump into some of the comments before we finish up this live stream this morning. We've been on for 18 odd minutes. Diving into the comments. Jota was different class to Bernardo. Jota was different class to anyone that we've ever had at Celtic for a long, long time. I think the only player, when you look at a flair player, Jota was out there on his own. When you look at a player whose quality was way above Celtic standard, you have to then go to Virgil van Dijk. There's nobody that's went on to do bigger things. Jota taking the move for money, and I think that's hindered his career. I think Jota could have went to a top European club and become an absolutely fantastic player. But he thought he would take the big money. Martin Boyce says, Awata, McGregor, Hatate are good enough for me. Will Rio Hatate still be at Celtic next summer? Yeah, remember, Celtic were expecting a bid last summer for Rio Hatate, and it did not transpire. Rio Hatate will be at Celtic because he's had such a poor season. He's had a lot of injuries. So next season, I think Hatate will still be at Celtic. When it comes to Awata, is he really the answer for that holding midfield player rather than McGregor? Is he really the answer, Awata? We have Mickey Mouse officials for too long now. It's time the fans stood together to demand these things, says Billy Boy. Ali says, agree, Baz, the team as a whole has not been playing the best. It hasn't. It's the team trying to pick out individual players is having their form dropped. Ange Postecoglou, if he was still at Celtic this season, he would have had to deal with the same form drop. I think it doesn't matter who's been the manager. I think when you have a nucleus of players that aren't playing at their optimum and they aren't performing at their best, it drags the other players down. And it's just as simple. It's simple. You get dragged down to the level of the other players. And I think that's where Callum McGregor struggled a bit because he isn't used to having mediocre players round about him. I mean, if you look at the whole time that Callum's been at Celtic, you look at some of the midfield players that's been in and around the club. Even when Brendan Rodgers first time, some of the wingers. Do you know what I mean? So anyway, we need goals against Livy. Yes, we do. We need a goal fest against Livy. Baz, we couldn't have the best lawyer around. He still would have got banned. We did have the best lawyer around, James. We had the best football legal lawyer in the land, and he still got banned. It was a waste of money. I could have went in and got Brendan a 1-match ban. That was the bare minimum that. Anyway, we move on for it. Scales. Oh God, I've got the fear. No, Big Dom, not a chance. Scales. Big Knob Rocky and Welsh tomorrow. No, Cameron Carter Vickers will be in the team tomorrow. Cameron Carter Vickers will be in the team tomorrow. Parkhead Boys going with his team for tomorrow. Hart, Taylor, Johnston, Scales, Cameron Carter Vickers, O'Reilly, Awata, Paulo Bernardo, Kyogo, and Maida, and Yang. Yang is injured. Do you not listen to what Brendan Rodgers says? Yang's injured. Parkhead Boy, Yang is injured. Yang has came back with some tightening on one of his calves or a muscle, leg muscle, and he's not going to make it tomorrow. He's one of the players that's out. Keep up, mate. Keep up, mate. It's going to be Kuhn. It won't be Yang. It'll be Kuhn because Yang they're not going to risk him on that pitch. James Smith said, Lindsay, one thing about this brief Scottish media is knowing England will win fuck all. Being Scottish is knowing, yeah. One thing about love being Scottish is knowing England will win fuck all. Yeah, it's going to be interesting. I think I'm going to do videos. We should probably talk about the Euros this summer and as well as transfers. Yeah, that'll be interesting. Wonder how many people would tune in if you're watching the Euros. James Smith, England will win nada. That's what's good about being Scottish. It is that. I'm just wondering how well Spain will do this year. Anyway, right, let me see if there's any other news. Right, give me your teams. I did see Brendan Rodgers. I was stoned Baz. Morning Baz near the Vic in Kirkcaldy. For the Vic. I need to put another comment for Vic. See YouTube, it is a pain. I wonder if I go into this live stream, but you're in hospital. You're actually in the hospital. You're watching this from in the hospital. To be fair, I'd probably be in hospital if I watched myself on this as well. But anyway, 1-match ban because Celtic were ready to expose them. And a 1-match ban because Celtic should have exposed them and they should have got it down. If that was the case, I'm not buying that. If Celtic were ready to expose them, right, and Celtic had some real juicy info on them, the lawyer should have got them off with absolutely everything. So I'm not buying that at all. Not buying that at all. You're actually watching from in the Victoria Hospital. There we go. I hope you're all right. Hope everything's okay. No, seriously, I don't. So it's my sense of humour. I hope you're okay. I hope it's nothing. What the fuck did you say to somebody that they're watching you from the hospital? It's not a hospital bed. Hope you're okay anyway. Good health, because you've got to look after your health. Parkhead Boy, regarding the player of the year, so far, there's not one Celtic player deserves it yet. Right, tell me your team. We've got 6 minutes left, so tell me your team for tomorrow in the comments section. I haven't even thought about a team for tomorrow yet, because Brendan Rodgers is going to change it around due to the fact that because of that pitch. Anyway, we're going to read some of the headlines that are out there. Chris Sutton latest Derby Glasgow Derby away allocation update. Better safe than sorry. Callum staying off the pitch is probably for the best. Yep. Mixed Rangers report. Hibs Boyle boost Hearts return. Hatate for Celtic. Fuck off. Referee fails to send off a player. What's that to do with Celtic? Celtic referee choice sees former official question the SFA and in the absence of common sense. Of course, they were going to put the same fucking ref in. God almighty me. And it's good to see that the Celtic Star are still pushing Davy Potter's diaries on today. And God rest his soul, Davy Potter. Remember, Davy Potter was the official Celtic historian, much loved by the club, who passed away just recently. And the Celtic Star that David used to write for, the Celtic Star on a daily basis, gives you the Celtic historian, the late great Celtic historian Davy Potter. I'm going to put this into the comments now, because if you want something to read today, read this. So there you go. There's the Celtic Star always put a daily thing about one of Davy Potter's diaries. And what Davy Potter knew about Celtic wasn't worth knowing. I don't think there was anybody else in Scottish football that had such an encyclopedic memory of everything to do with Celtic. And the fact that he was Celtic's official historian, and it was brilliant for me, because it was brilliant for me talking to him on an ongoing basis on the bus. Saturday the 30th of March 1907, a disappointing 0-0 draw in the Scottish Cup semi-final between Celtic and Hibs at Parkhead means there will be a replay at Easter Road next week. The crowd was healthy. 27,000, fine spring weather, and the cynics are not done slow to point out that it was another big crowd will appear in Edinburgh next week. A reward will follow. Another financial harvest, says. I've never met a guy that was just so good with words. I mean, it makes me look totally flippant illiterate. But Davy Potter, what an author. What an absolute amazing author. Anyway, read Davy Potter's thing today. God rest Davy Potter. Love that man. Anyway, let's get back to something. Baz, when does the referee for the Snake get announced? Well, that was probably get announced on Monday, just to make sure that they control the narrative once again in the media. Parkhead boy, I was thinking that also. James says, Don Robertson, I've heard. It'd probably be, who cares? Do you know, let's just get this game out the way tomorrow. Get this game out the way tomorrow. And then it's like Brendan Rodgers says, we need to focus. Let's stop the media being in total charge of the narrative here and trying to get us talking about them. Because let's face it, they're in freaking meltdown because Brendan Rodgers is going to be on the touchline, which we all know they fear Brendan Rodgers, because Brendan Rodgers annihilated them his first term at Celtic Park. They have yet to beat Brendan Rodgers this term around. So, anyway, fly me, tell Kuhn to play amongst the stars. Celtic win at Ibrox, we go crazy in the bars. We do that. And I'm still undecided on which bar to go and watch it. There's one bar that I could go. If I go down to Paddy's Point, that'll be absolutely mobbed. I could go to the Hoops bar, that'll get a good turnout. But then there's also Albatera Celtic Supporters Club, which is good. I might actually nip up to Alicante Celtic Supporters Club tomorrow. I'll wait and see. So did Tierney Baz when he went for the money, ruined his career. Yeah, that's what I mean. You have to. Scott Brown used to say this. Scott Brown, I'm just going to talk about that for a second. Scott Brown, James, used to say it and he said it many times. The many times that players left Celtic, and Scott Brown, you remember, was in charge of the WhatsApp group, the player WhatsApp group, and when he deletes them off the WhatsApp group when they leave Celtic, a lot of players used to phone Scott up about 6 months later and go, "You were right. I shouldn't have left. The football's not as good. The banter's not as good, and you've not got the chance of winning medals." And Scott Brown used to say that, and that was one of the reasons that Scott Brown stayed at Celtic for so long, because Scott Brown said, "I would rather get to the end of my career and turn around and go, see this cabinet. This cabinet is full of medals from my playing career. Finances can take care of itself. Sometimes in life, you need to look beyond the big bucks. Sometimes in life, you need to look at an easier way of life." And Scott Brown could have went into under Brendan Rodgers and Ange Postecoglou and stuff, but he wanted to learn in his own way. And the fact that he'll turn around and he'll go, this cabinet is full of medals for my playing career. You know, you might be sitting with, and look at the amount of players down in England that have earned probably 2 or 3 times more than Scott Brown that are now in complete financial ruin and alcoholics and gambling aholics. Do you know what I mean? So you watch what you wish for in life. Anyway, what a fucking morbid way to finish a video. Celtic team should beat Livy, Globetrotters. Hope we can match them physically. Yep, only be in control of the narrative if we keep winning. Yes, exactly. You've been on too much of the sun, Baz. Not at all. Not at all. It's not even getting warm, but it is warm. It's not even warm yet because I haven't got my hoodie on. Wait till you see the tan that I'll have in about a month's time. You'll be crying. Parker boys, in my opinion, KT never had a choice. Celtic wanted the money, and they wanted from him. What do you think? Yes, Kieran Tierney said that. It took care. You've got to remember, Kieran Tierney moved on the last day of the transfer window. Kieran Tierney sat on the decision for about 3 or 4 days. 3 or 4 days before he actually, and it was all about Lawwell wanting the cash. It's the exact same what happened with Brendan Rodgers. But other people see it as Brendan Rodgers walked for Celtic. The reality is that Peter Lawwell wanted the 10 million compensation. Anyway, Lindsay Greenwood is just into the office just as we're leaving. So he was one late. Come on, never mind, Lindsay. You can go back and watch the video again. It's only half an hour long. It's more than half an hour long now, isn't it? It is. It's 31 minutes and 29 seconds, 30 seconds. Anyway, that's us done and dusted for the morning. I thought I would just do a live rather than your normal Celtic morning news. I'm not sure. We might do an update this afternoon just for the shits and giggles. We'll see what happens. The lawyer was hired for Brendan was another example how the board waste our precious resources, says Big Dom. Liam, you're going to get the last word of the day. Mon the Hibs. You should have picked Tenerife as tan all year long. Yeah, it is. But Tenerife, you get island fever. My dad stayed in Tenerife for 14 years, so yeah, I can see it. And plus, this area is a massive Irish area. Tenerife's more for the Brits. This area is a massive Irish area. You don't get too many of that lot kicking around here. And in a half-hour radius, there's 4 Celtic supporters clubs. You're not going to get that in Tenerife. Not going to get that in Tenerife. I love Tenerife, but you're not going to get that in Tenerife. Anyway, I know I was going to say more onto it, Baz. It said, Lindsay, hail. We're doing a live tonight. Yeah, I'll see. If it will be, I'll do it what I'll do is, if we're going to do a live, I'll do it at full time rather than 6 o'clock. So it'll be 4:45, 4:45, 5 o'clock rather than 6 o'clock. So if we do a live, we'll do one tonight and we'll just talk about the results of the day and the impact that it's had on Scottish football, rather than just everything all about Celtic. Anyway, on that note, you know what's coming now. Have a fantastic day, Celtic fans all around the world. My coffee's went cold.